In this video, you're going to see, I'm going to give you three side lengths and you're basically going just to see, does it form a triangle? Now in class, right, I can easily draw a triangle and then make up numbers, for whatever purpose. But the question is, does this triangle actually even exist, right? Will it form a triangle? Okay, so let's go ahead, and these are the side lengths that I'm going to go ahead and try and basically just do the lesson with. I chose the numbers very specifically. Some of you using intuition, you can figure out yes or no fairly easy. Like for instance, the 5, 8, 20. But maybe other ones are sort of up in the air. You're just not sure, or you can't really explain why. So let's go ahead, and the first one I'm gonna do is the 224. So in a very rough way, let me go ahead and let's just do this here. Let's imagine that this is equal to 4. I'm always going to use the biggest number to basically create like a base. And now one of the sides is equal to 2, which we know it's sort of like halfway there. Well, it is actually halfway there. And then the other side is also equal to 2, so then it's also half, but on the other direction. Okay, so we're going to say that measures 2. This one over here measures 2, and then the one on the left measures 2. So what we're trying to do is really trying to see, if you notice, I drew them all on the same line. So if you can imagine it, imagine me grabbing the red dot that is over here and sort of like moving it up and down based off of how far away it can go from this black dot. So now if you remember, its measurement is 2. So I can only like sort of drag this red dot and sort of go in a circle where you already know what the radius is. Wow, that looks really bad, but you get the point, right? It's a circle. And we know that the radius is 2 everywhere. So it can only go 2 away from the black dot here all the way at the left. And in the exact same form, it's the exact same thing for the blue one, right? This dot, I can just drag it around and it'll only go 2 away from that one, and it's supposed to be the exact same circle, right? Just a different color. So if you can think about it, it's 2 away, right? Because that's the furthest it can go. So technically, if we're really looking at it, the circles there, that's all the different paths that the line segments can take. It can't go anywhere else because we're talking about using all the 2, all the 4, all the 2, and all the 4. That's why if you notice, I drew the dots on top of each other, right? The start or the end segments. And so what happens here, if you notice, the only place where they intersect is technically right here in the middle, and that doesn't really help because you're still forming a straight line, so there is no triangle. So this is going to be no, this does not form a triangle. So this does not form a triangle. And for right now, that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to give you random numbers, and using the whole circle method, I'm going to try and explain why some of them are no, why some of them are yes. Okay, so a 2, 2, 4 triangle doesn't exist. It'll never exist because they just don't intersect, or they can't intersect anywhere to form a triangle when I have the dots like right on top of each other, because I am trying to use technically like all the side lengths. Okay, now obviously if we can go ahead and let's say for instance I decide to draw the blue one starting here, then yeah, it'll intersect somewhere up here with the red one, right? If I were to pick it up and then move it, but I'm not using the 4 anymore, right? This is, I decided to use a number less, so it's technically not a 2, 2, 4 triangle anymore. Okay, so that right there is really important. You need to understand that the start and end segments need to be sort of on top of each other. Okay, so using pretty much the same numbers, the only thing I did was change one of the 2's to a 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw the 4. And now the 2 again, I'm going to start it here and then I'm going to put it right there, and it's going to land exactly in the middle of it. And now now it's a 3, so I'm going to go ahead and start it here. And now since it's a 3, I know it goes further away than the middle. So it's a 3. So again, imagine I'm going to go ahead and grab this yellow dot there, and I am just going to move it up and down, rotate it around this point right here, and create my circle. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go ahead and rotate it around. Now it's going to be a really rough looking circle, but you get the idea. Okay, so right there, that's think of like the circle is where the dot of the end of the segment can be. Okay, so I can go ahead and that'll be 2, right? And then that'll be 2. And it's basically like me deciding which one will help me create a triangle. And so now let me go ahead and do the same thing with the blue one. But now the blue one is a 3. So that means the circle is going to be a little bit bigger. And remember, it's going to rotate around this point because that's we're keeping that point stationary. Now, if you see here, something different happened. The two circles intersected right here and right here. What that means is that they will touch there. The two line segments will touch there. So if I draw them, right, the red one, that right there is going to be the 2. And then if I draw this blue one, that right there is going to be the 3. And if you notice, that'll create a triangle with the initial black line, which I know you can't see it, but it's right there. So what this means is that this will create a triangle. So this is, yes, it forms a triangle. Right, because we can go ahead and think of it as like moving the segment around to a point where it'll actually intersect with the other one. In the previous one, right, the 2, 2, 4, it only intersected once, but it was straight on the 4, on the line that was considered to be the 4. And so that's why it didn't form a triangle, because that's not even a triangle, that's a straight line. And so now this right here, 2, 3, 4, will create a triangle. So let's go ahead to the next one. I want you to notice here is intuition, okay? Now, I'm always going to draw the longest side first. So that means I'm going to draw the 20. So 20 is a pretty big one. So I'm going to go ahead and say this right here is 20. Now, half of it, just to get a rough idea, right? Half of it is 10. Here goes 5, and then there goes 5. Okay, so I just cut up into sections. So the 5, I know is going to, I want it to start right here, right, in one of the end segments, and then go ahead, and that's 5. And then 8, I know it's going to be just a little bit more than 5. So I'm going to start right here, and then I'm going to take it somewhere over there, okay? Because I know this one over here is 10, okay? So I don't want to write it all the way there. So I know the blue one is 8. Now, just looking at this picture, you can really tell that this will not form a triangle. But if we want to, we can go ahead and I can draw a circle, right? Really rough, but there you go. That's a circle. Now where all of it is the radius ends up being 5 because we're just moving around that segment. And over here, of course, it has to be a bigger circle. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the 8. There you go. Wow, that's really bad. But you get the point, okay? Now, there is no way that these two will ever intersect. There's no way that I can create a triangle here because they're just never going to intersect, okay? So this will not form, sorry, that doesn't look like an O. This will not form a triangle. Now, I'm pretty sure some of you are already thinking like of little hints, of little like, okay, so if these two side lengths compare it to the third one, and you're right, okay? So let's go back and see what's going on here, okay? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention was some of you are probably gonna think like, well, we could also form this triangle right here on the bottom, and that's true. I mean that's super important because you're talking about like that's the reflexive property there, but I mean it's not really, it's just the whole point is, can you at least get one triangle in there? You're always going to get if you get one triangle, then you're going to get 2 automatically just by doing the reflexive property. But the whole point is, you know, will you get a triangle? So then let's take a look at this one. The 2, 2, 4 did not work. The 2, 3, 4 did work. The 5, 8, 20 did not work. Already in your head, start thinking, you know, what's a pattern? What can I look at? What's going on? And check if it works here for this one. So do you think the 2, 2, 3 is going to work? Okay. So that's going to be a 3. Okay. Just because, you know, I measured or whatever. I'm going to break it up into thirds. There you go. Okay. So now I need to do a 2. So that's a 2. And then I'm going to do the other 2 based off of the other endpoint. So that's a 2. Now, if I go ahead and I create my circles, I hope you can already tell, we will be able to create here 2 triangles, okay? But just remember that the whole point is creating one of them, one triangle, okay? So I'm not going to completely draw the circles there because you can see how bad they're coming out, but you can actually draw it because we do get an intersection right there and right there, meaning that is how far you have to extend the side lengths to create your triangle. Now, some of them can be, really awkward looking. Right now, these look really nice, but that's just because I'm choosing the longest side to be the base. You can choose whichever side to be the base, honestly. So then that means the triangle that'll form will be this one right here. Okay. And for those of you guys that know already, this is of course an isosceles because you're talking about the two side lengths are the same. But anyways, so there you go. That's that one. Now 6, 7, 8. Do you think this will form a triangle? So just change it up. I'm gonna go ahead and do 6 as the base, just to change things up. Okay, so that's half. That's 3. Let's see. Let's just do my little tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you notice, it's super not accurate, but that's okay, right? Just get the general idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and do 7 in red, and that means it's a little bit longer. So that'll be right there. And that's the reason why I choose the longest one to always be the base, just because it makes it a little bit easier. And I'm going to choose 8 to be the other one. So I'm going to start it here. So that means it's going to go 2 further away. So right there. Now, if you really think about moving the this blue dot and then moving this red dot up down motion, right, to create your circles, I hope you can notice that it will create a triangle. But here, let me go ahead and try and do it. I need to zoom out so you can see it, okay? And then you'll see how it works. So let's see, the 7, I'm going to go ahead and it'll be a pretty big circle, something like that. And then the 8, right, which I didn't write, the 8 is going to end up looking even bigger. Let me see if I can make it a little bit nicer. It'll be something like that. And then if we zoom out a little bit, sorry if you're getting confused with the other circles, but if you zoom out a little bit, they intersect right here and right there. Okay, so what that means is that they will form a triangle. Now, if I go ahead and let's see, this is the dot that I'm keeping stationary because it's on top of the black one. So then that means that this is my side for the blue. It'll be this one. And then the 7, this is the one that I'm keeping stationary. So I'm going to be moving this dot. So then it'll look like that. And then the black one is the one on the bottom. And there you go. Okay, so it does form a triangle. You can easily form this triangle right here on the bottom, but it doesn't really matter. It's just the whole point is, does it form at least one triangle? I'm going to go ahead right now and change over the screen to a link I found in GeoGebra, which is really, really cool because it does this, and it does this with units, okay? So I will link the page in the description box as well. So if you want to go ahead and play around with that. I think it's really nice. It gives you an intuition of why it actually works. Okay, so this here is the link. You will find it in the description box, okay? But now, see how I did the 2, 2, 4 first. Now, if you notice, the 4, of course, I'm keeping it in the middle just like before. And the reason why I'm going to link this GeoGebra activity and not the other one is because of that right there. The triangles are formed for you already, and it's really nice because you can actually see, that this is the shape, and it'll move it for you. So if you want to, you can go ahead and play around with this. The numbers don't go out that big. I think that, yeah, the biggest it goes out to is 10, but you can go ahead and move all these around and then just see what's going on. For some of you that you already have sort of an intuition of what's going on, you can check your intuition here, right? So for instance, if one of them is 4.5 and the other one is 5, it'll form a triangle right there. And then if you notice, right, the circles are different because, of course, the side lengths are different. So that's one of the really good things I like about this. Play around with this. Really see it, okay? Let me just show you. Let's see. We did the 2, 2, 4, and I showed you guys why it did not work. Now, just by moving one of them to 3, you can see now that the circles will intersect, and that's why they form a triangle, okay? Which is really, really nice, okay? So there you go. Now, I'm using a stylus here, so it's not doing it perfectly, but when you do it on your own, it's going to be really nice, okay? So let's go back to the notes section, and I'll show you guys what I want you to do next. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's see you try to do this, either with the program or something similar to it, or just using your intuition. If you notice, I really haven't given you a rule for it. I want you to see, can you figure it out on your own? And then I'll give you the rule for it. All right, so for number 1, 10, 11, and 7. Right, so if I make 11 the base, 10 will go somewhere over here, and then 7 will go somewhere over there. It will intersect because if we, extend out the circles, it'll extend out somewhere there. So this is a yes. Okay, so state of the 3 numbers can form a triangle. So that's number 1. Let's go ahead to number 2. 12, 11, and 1. So 12 goes there. 11 would go like right there, and then 1 would go there. If you notice, they already intersect on the straight line. So what that means is that if I create my triangles, they're not going to intersect anymore. So that means this is a no. Okay. Number 3, 10, 10, 23. So 23 is that one. Half of it is right there. Half of it is like, what is that? 11 and a half, I think. And so then that means the 10 is going to go over here, and then the other 10 is going to go here. And so that means it doesn't intersect. So this is a no. And then finally, the last one, 6, 6, 10. So we know, oh wait, I'm usually using black there. So let me go ahead. So then it's going to be 10. We know 6 is going to be a little bit more than halfway. So let me go ahead, and this is half. So that means 6 will go somewhere here. And then that means the other 6 is going to go somewhere here. So if I go ahead and I start, pulling them outward to create my circles, they will intersect, somewhere over here and then somewhere over here to create your two triangles. So it'll look something like that, and then it'll look something like this one, okay? So that means number 4 is a yes. Sorry, that looks really bad. Okay? So what's the shortcut? So the way I like to see it is always the 2 smaller sides. So that's the only thing that I sort of look at every single time. So the shortcut. All right, and this is in case you don't like drawing the pictures. I like drawing the pictures because it just makes sense. So for the shortcut, right, you're basically going to add the 2 smaller sides. And then all you're going to see is it greater than the third side? Or the largest side, basically. The side you didn't decide to add. So let's go ahead to these, and let me go ahead and do that little trick. So 10, 11, 7. The 2 smaller sides are 10 and 7. 10 plus 7 is 17. Is that greater than 11? Yes, it is. So for number 2, 11 and 12. Sorry, 11 and 1. If I add those 2, is it greater than 12? No, it's not. 10 and 10. Is that greater than 20? No, it's not. 6 and 6. Is that greater than 10? Yes, it is. So, I mean, the shortcut works extremely faster, but you're really not getting a sense of intuition, the whole circles thing. But that is how you determine, does it form a triangle if you are given the 3 sides.